What's up, fellow Lords of Gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So without further ado, let's jump right into the Across the Spider-Verse update. So we got a couple of things, new characters and Spot. I think a little people will be disappointed. I'm disappointed for a number of reasons, but we'll get into those. We got the new world boss, Kang the Conqueror, and then we also have uniforms for Miles Morales, Spider-Woman, and Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. So let's jump right on in. Let's take a look. All right. So first things first, you're gonna get bombarded with these new sales. There's a package for agents deal inside here, $4.99, 550 crystals with 5 cards. Now I want to pay particular attention to these cards because these are actually good cards, non-premium cards. If you are a brand new player, you're essentially getting the card set for free because you're essentially getting for $5 of 550 crystals. Every dollar is basically equal to 100 crystals. So you get 50 crystals, a little bit bonus there, and then 5 cards that you could conceivably use to start your journey in Marvel Future Fight. For veteran players, there's no worth inside these values, but if you are a brand new player, these aren't bad cards at all. I think you'll find that a lot of free-to-play players, even veteran players, when we were first starting in the game, these were cards that we were using in order to boost our characters up to higher levels. So good sale deal there. There are other deals that will pop up as well besides this one, but that's the new one. So if you go over inside the store, there are some other deals as well. Namely, is going to be the the Amazing Spider-Man pack, which is inside here, 5,500 crystals, and you can get all the Spider-Man cards. The one Amazing Spider-Man number 605 is a really good card. I still actually use that card. I can't say that this is really worth it to basically purchase Baby Spidey, but it's a deal that's in the shop nonetheless. Along with that, they do have Spot's Immortal Chest. So if you want Spot, then you can get him conceivably by purchasing these chests and get 100 or 200 crystals of him. Otherwise, your only other real option to get this character is essentially to jump inside of the monthly character perks, and basically, you know, the monthly premium, like the premium hero chests. You could conceivably roll him from here. He is available inside that premium hero chest, but you're looking to get lucky there. He's also available as one of the monthly get 20 biometrics characters. So I think there's a disappointment here for me because at this stage in the game, we basically have tier 4, tier 3 characters, and the idea that they would put a character who only has a transcendence inside here just like rubs me the wrong way. I don't know, something about it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't necessarily like it that, yeah, like at this point, the biometric daily deals and the X-Gene daily deals for characters who aren't coming in at tier 3 or, you know, better, it just seems like such a waste. Like, this character's such a one-off. He's almost like slapstick. Like, there's never going to be a point where we essentially revisit this character so that way they would end up with a new uniform or something like that. It's like this character is it. So you're going to buy a character that's one moment in time, and then you're going to move on from here because you're never going to really use the character. So for me, I'm not going to purchase this character. There's like no incentive here. It's not like Spot is like, you know, he ain't that guy, and for a potential transcendence character as well, he's not really doing a lot. But let's take a look at him real quick so you can see what he's got inside here. I want to pay attention to that, right? So he's the newest character in the game. He's a speed supervillain, human male. I think there are far better speed supervillains in the game. I think, like, if you were to look at some of the characters, like, you know, Goblin alone, that justifies a reason for you not to purchase a character like this, right? Like that's essentially what it is. So let's take a look at his skills, and I'll talk you through some of what he's got. So on his leadership, he does have dodge rate increase and critical rate increase to all allies. So nothing magnanimous about his leadership. So it doesn't really give you anything to write home about to say you're going to get it. His passives, the Untouchable and the Confidence Surge, they both apply to himself, and they give dodge rate increase for 30%, ignore target's dodge rate for 30%, and then he gets an increase in chain hit damage by 10% on Confidence Surge with increased dodge rate for 25, and increased skill damage by 45, and increased bonus damage by 40. So not a whole lot there that he's providing in terms of support to any other characters, where typically you would probably like to see, like, especially a Transcendence character that's being sold inside the store. This is probably the best place to get him, right? Like, it's like, okay, cool. Now, I'll say that I do like the pulled from the from across the universe kind of look that we got on the character. I think he looks pretty cool. We've got the gore kind of transition look, and he's got the Transcendence skill sync with Scorpion. So now the weird part is, in the trailer when we were watching him played with 3RL, Scorpion had this purple look to him, and he no longer has that purple look inside the game. So it is what it is. First skill is not too bad, second skill not too bad, but what I'm coming in here, this first impressions, is taking a look at the character. I have to appreciate what they've done with the character, especially with the spot mechanics and the teleportation inside, like he's reaching through dimensions. The skills look really cool in terms of the animations that they've put into the game, so I really gotta appreciate what they've done there. I just don't think it's enough to warrant essentially that, you know, you're paying out that transcend the monthly bonus pack for the character at all. His third skill is pretty cool. It's got a nice counterattack skill on it. We'll come into this and I'll break them down individually. This is just first impressions that I want to give you. So this fits into like if I was doing one of my good, the bad, the ugly kind of things, this fits into the bad category for me, because it's just like, there's just not a whole lot of goodness in having a supervillain who is speed transcendence be inside the shop for purchase. I think it's like, it just like, the uniform looks cool, like overall, like it literally looks ripped from the movie, and I think that's really cool. But I just hard pressed to basically be like, hey, I'm gonna spend money on a character that basically essentially for me does nothing more than serve a role inside of Shadowland or something like that. So it's just, yeah, not for me. All right. So those are the store items that you essentially get inside the game. I don't think there was anything else in here that was worth pointing out. I'm trying to remember, but that was it, really. Yeah. So special benefits, purchase benefits. Okay. Anyways, so now let's talk about the three main characters of the show, with the main focus on Miles, which is the uniforms. Okay, so we got Spider-Man 2099 up here, Miguel O'Hara, and we're gonna get to him in a second. But I want to focus first and primarily on Miles, because one thing that really struck me out is who fucked this up. Like, who fucked this up? If you can't tell that, like, the way his face is inside this is, I don't know, but something's not right here. This is not very realistic in the eye placement and the way his face lines up inside it. Just something's off. This this looks a little wonky, right? But nevertheless, let's talk about this uniform real quick. So I do agree with Beast Mode Gaming. He already put out a video about this, where it's going to be like hard justification that we just had Miles Morales's anniversary uniform, and now we got Across the Spider-Verse uniform. What are going to be the distinct power level differences inside of the uniform versus what we had prior? Now, I'm going to say this for truth, right? I love Miles Morales. I think he's a really cool Spider-Man. He embodies what it felt to me growing up in New York to be New Yorker more than Peter Parker probably would. Like, that's just the truth, right? Not that there's anything against Peter Parker, but this character for me embodies Queens and Brooklyn. So what I want to point out for this uniform, though, is the crazy amount of detail in it. This is something that they could have just simply went flat black with and just passed off the uniform, and that was it. But when you look at the detail inside of this uniform that they've done with the texture on the underlayer, and then the ribbing or the vinyl looking accents on there, absolutely amazing. Even down to like where you see like his the vinyl around the wrist, and the separation between his forearm and his bicep muscles inside of here, and then like the nice look of the painted on Spider-Man in there. This is an absolute amazing looking uniform. I don't care what you have to say. If you are a Miles Morales fan, I don't care that you purchased the uniform 6 months ago. Would it have been nice that this was a Synergy uniform? 100%. 100%. I don't care that, you know, it's just another uniform. I hate to say this, but I think, you know, people end up reaching these points with certain games and then they lose focus because you've grinded so much in a game that you've grinded it to death for yourself, and then that starts to come out, right? Like, this is a toon collector. It's a toon collector. Do I have a reason to tier 4 Miles Morales? Well, take a look at the roster, right? If I was to go inside my roster and I was just to look at speed type characters inside of here, right? So just speed type characters alone. I've got Spider-Man. Spider-Man's more than serving the purpose inside of here. And like I've said to you guys before, there's really no reason in World Boss Legend for you to go past this stage, right? Like to go past stage 2. You can stay on stage 2 and get the same rewards that you would get if you pushed all the way to 50, if you pushed all the way to 60. The daily rewards for completing a stage change nothing. Now, there's rewards incrementally along the way that might represent small, minute bonuses for your characters and your inventory, but are they like really rewards that like you absolutely need, so that way you spend money on the individual like ESOs, the Odin's blessings and CTPs and stuff? No. It's the fucking truth. No, they're not. And, you know, like, so like you can listen to some like content creators sell you that over the years. No, it's not, right? Do I have to have a reason to get a male speed T3? No, I don't. Especially if I've already T3'd to T3'd Spider-Man, or if I T3'd Ant-Man. There's no reason for me to have another speed male tier 3. I only need one. I can only play World Boss but 5 times. So I don't need more than one Spider-Man in order to get my daily rewards from there. So it's not a matter of whether there's enough game modes available for you to play this character in, or to diversify the character strength inside game modes. We're missing out on there. So spoiler warning right here, close your ears if you don't want to hear it. What I think they missed out on mostly with Miles isn't the ability for him to be PvP oriented. And we don't know that they've completely missed out. But if you've seen the movie, you know Miles makes an appearance at the end as the Prowler. So he's a villain character. We may end up seeing a uniform for Miles where he basically wears the Prowler uniform, and that could be his actual PvP uniform. And this could just be another PvE look for him. If they don't, I feel like they miss out on an opportunity here where they could have released both uniforms, given a synergy to it, and then had one for PvE and one for PvP, the way they did with Spider-Man, the integrated suits and things like that back in the day. This would have been a good thing. Now, on to Miles. One of the things that I'm really amped about is the fact that they changed his leadership. So he's not playing second fiddle to Peter Parker anymore, right? He has his own leadership that basically applies to himself. He gives all the allies 6%, which isn't a whole lot, and he increases all basic attacks by 70% to himself. So this is kind of good in my opinion, especially with reference to like where the character fits inside the movie. I kind of like the idea that he's boosting up himself, because he's not necessarily the team player that you would expect him to be, but he is, you know, a man apart from the rest of the group, and I like it. He is a team player, but he's a man apart as well. So I'm liking that. We'll go more in detail on what the character has in tow there, but that was one of the quick features that I pulled out from me there. Now, excuse me, outside of this, his skills. There was definitely work put in on these skills, and I really appreciate the way these skills look. I appreciate the way the character moves around on the map. The skills look absolutely amazing in my opinion. You do get a little bit of problem when you're running through rotations, because the screen just gets filled up really quickly. For me, I'm tier 4 in Miles Morales. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. As soon as I can, I'm going to tier 4 Miles Morales, because I'm toon collecting, and this is one of my favorite characters. So therefore I'm toon collecting. I'm not rushing to get Miles Morales by saying that I've never done this. I'm not going into the shop to purchase, you know, tier 4 materials so that way I can specifically get them. I am not in here trying to tier 4, you know, characters every month. I have never done that, right? You basically have like characters that I like. This is why it's a toon collector. So characters that I like, I level up. Characters that I don't like, I don't level up. Characters that I don't need, I definitely don't level up, right? So I have to have a like for those characters. Miles Morales fits in one of those characters that I like. I like him more than I would like these characters that I have at level 80 that I could potentially see leveling up, because I also like those characters for various reasons over my comic book, nerddom. So anyways, I like Miles Morales' uniform. I think that if you're a Miles fan and you were a fan of the movie, this is a good reason to go and purchase the movie. Go and purchase the uniform. It's a Toon collector. It's a Barbie doll playhouse. That's what we got here inside Marvel Future Fight. So then we come across to Miguel O'Hara, right? So Miguel O'Hara, nothing really stood out to me inside his skills. Like even his leadership inside here, ignore target's dodge rate by 50%. Cool. I can see some places where that might be worthy and benefit, but I was expecting a little bit beefier of an update for him, especially as he goes into tier 3. But overall, what I am impressed mostly with is what this character brings. Like the same way Spot feels like he was ripped from the pages is the same way I feel like Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man 2099 was ripped from the pages. Like his uniform looks amazing. The holographic effects, or whatever you want to call it, 3D effects, the art style that is present in the movie is just like all here on the screen. Like you could legitimately tell me that we were watching Spider-Man Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and I'd be like, hey, yeah, I've literally ripped the pages of the character from there, and it looks great. I have to say, I also like his uniform quite a bit in terms of what the aesthetics look like. It is a really eye-catching uniform. And I always go back to Sabretooth, right? Like I always tend, whenever I'm talking about like the standard for like, I feel like the devs put extra work into those uniforms. Like it wasn't like just a lazy design decision. Things felt like they popped off the screen. Like I play a lot of my games at 1440p or on 4K, like 240 hertz with my monitors, and like I want to be able to see those pop textures and stuff like that. I don't want to look like I'm looking at flat designs, and I always go back to Sabretooth's uniform. It was like the gold standard for me, right? Like when the game was evolving over the years, it was like, whoa, they introduced this Sabretooth uniform, and it was like, wow, the characters finally look like they pop off the page. We actually get something in there. So I go back to these uniforms and I'm like, wow, thematically to the movie, these uniforms look like they actually pop off the page. I do feel like I'm looking at the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2099. It looks really cool. Then we've got our girl Spider-Woman, right? Really sleek design. I think I like the details on the character. Like I said, even when I was watching the trailer, I loved what they did with the hair, especially as much as I shit on for them for if you knows type deals with the way they treat people of color in this game. But it looks like they took the time to try to really texturize her hair to make it look like a genuine afro and give it some style. Her uniform pops, especially with like the high shine latex looks inside of the uniform and the deep blacks that they have on there. It's a really good looking uniform, right? Outside of that, there's some bits inside here for her that I think really pop off the screen too, especially her leadership, right? She applies to all allies with spider senses. She increased all basic attacks by 40. And then you can see here the activation rate. When debuffed, she applies to allies with spider sense, remove all debuffs. So it's really, really funny because we look at the character here and we essentially get a character that's poised for PvP. This is why I have this assumption and this feeling that Miles is going to end up maybe getting that Prowler uniform, Prowler uniform and getting that, or Gwenpool, Spider-Gwen is going to come out and she's going to be poised for PvP instead. So that also brings an interesting perspective. If you plan on T4ing Miles, you better be careful because we may end up with Gwen and Spider-Gwen, and she may be the PvP person. Now, personally, I don't give a fuck about PvP, right? Like, I hate to say this, but anybody that's complaining and rooting for uniforms to go PvP, for what? For what? Like, for real, for what? Unless you are the deepest of pocketed whales, unless you are the absolute sweatiest of sweaties, There's no reason for you to be engaged in PvP. Like, I hate to say this, but like I feel like people lose focus sometimes on what's there in front of them. Like, for instance, PvP timeline battle, like, for real, this is basically a whale's paradise in terms of timeline. The whole gameplay is centered around us supporting whales and their efforts. It's like the ultimate in whaledom right here. We don't get to play because we're never going to make it there because we're not paying that money. So what we get to do is cheer on the whales that do make it to the top. And that's what you're doing, right? Like, that's what you're doing. When you look at the people that win every week, that's what you're doing. You're cheering on the rich. Like, you're at the bottom of the poor and you're basically cheering on the rich. That's what you do. So why do I need to spend money or be caring about a uniform to participate in that? Even if I was to go back to Otherworld Battle, this mode is trash. I don't care what they do for, like, they added in this update the idea that characters will receive debuffs, right? So essentially, every week inside the month, characters are going to receive debuffs, and those debuffs basically will grant you, like, you know, supposed to make those characters less likely to be usable inside there. So the teams could be different. But right now, we ain't seeing that, and my expectation is that it's going to be the same thing like what we had in timeline battle, right? We've seen debuff characters there as well, where it's like these are the characters that you should be playing with, or the recommended characters. And what does that do there for timeline battle? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't change the scope or landscape of anything. So what do you expect is going to happen here? So give me a reason where we cry for uniforms to be engaged in PvP so I can participate in cheering on whales. You tell me. Until I find a reason that I'm going to play PvP and the landscape's leveled, there's no reason for me to cry about a uniform for PvP. I need uniforms for PvE. I need characters that I like to get uniforms because I like those characters and I want to see them in new uniforms because I've invested in an understanding that I'm playing a toon collector. I'm playing a Barbie collector. You signed on for this. This is what we've signed on for. Whoever's a fan of this game, is that you understand it's not Marvel Contest of Champions where, you know, back in, you know, 10 years ago, you had Thor and you're still able to use that same Thor from, you know, 10 years ago. No, they've given updates and iterations of Thor, and Thor might not be good, so I have to switch over to the new Thors that come out along the way, and I have to invest in those new character developments along the way, leveling them up and so forth. But that's not what we do here. We basically invest in uniforms to dress up our Barbies and we move along. That's what it is. That's what it is. And yes, people are 100% right. There's not a lot of PvP content where I need to use Miles Morales in. Basically, it becomes a desire of, do you want or do you not want? But I have to say, I love the way this uniform looks. I don't see a reason not to purchase it. If you are a fan, the the Spider-Woman uniform is pretty damn good in terms of what she could possibly conceivably give to a Spider team inside of PvP if that's something that you choose to play. Is it something I care about? No, I don't. I really don't. I don't care. There's going to be, I literally autoplay PvP every day. And you know what I do? I put my phone down. I don't even look at the game. Whether it's Otherworld Battle or whether it's Timeline Battle. I don't even look at it. I don't play it. There's like no reason for me to play it. I get my 150, 160, whatever, how many crystals it is per week from that, and that's it. I move on because there's nothing there for me who's not the whale, who's not willing to go that extra mile. I'm not going to finish in the top. So I don't care. Like, that's just the truth of the matter, right? So those uniforms to me overall look good. I'm going to give you guys updates about those uniforms outside of here. Now, they did add in a cool little tooltip as well, where we can get some minor rewards and stuff like that, where it's like walking through the game and tells you different things, right? So like comic cards, it gives you like some things so that way you understand. And then down here, you can collect like a mythical chest, so forth. Card growth, and you can see these. It'll give you some card cube fragments and stuff like that. Most of it's just like 20s, but it's like, I thought this was a pretty good, decent way of rewarding players overall to be able to acquire like some items in game, because all you had to do was just basically go through the tooltips and basically see. So this is really great in my opinion for, yeah, there are crystal rewards inside here too. to reward players for basically just going through the tooltip and understanding and learning the measure of the game. Like, really cool little thing that they did inside there that I really appreciated. I can't complain about that kind of stuff, right? So there's nothing to complain about there at all. So then Scorpion, as I mentioned, is getting an awakening thing. This is one of the things I hate the most, is like Scorpion's getting an awakening, but he's not getting a uniform. So like, at least as long as that purple thing doesn't come out to bear, he's not getting a uniform, right? So like, I hate seeing characters get the awakening but not get a uniform. It makes them strong enough to be able to use inside Shadowland or something like that, but not strong enough to use in anything else. So I don't know, something about it just makes you feel like, ugh. I don't know. I don't like it. So like, it's a little weird. You know what I mean? That's all it is. They've had some minor updates for like the extra swords and things like that, which are pretty cool. And then they've added in, obviously, new artifacts inside of the game as well. So like the artifacts, let me pull these up for you guys to see. So artifacts for Miguel, for Spider-Man 2099, you can see here, increased basic damage to aliens and creature type characters. We get increased damage of all elements by 20%. This applies to herself. You get Spot has one, ignore non-boss enemy damage decreased by 25%. And then you can see Scorpion gets a increase all basic attacks on his thing as well. So those are added inside of there. I think they're pretty cool. We've got a couple of new June update icons that are basically going to make their way in the shop for Gamora. Let me pull these up on screen so you can actually see these here. Gamora, Groot, we get the Spider-Man 2099, and a new Deadpool one. I was like, this should have been like Valentine's Day or something, or maybe it was already in there and this is like rehashed. I don't know. I don't really get into the icons and stuff like that unless it's like something I really feel like I just want to have to represent me, but nah, not really. Nothing there. So now the last bit of the update, right, besides the ABX scores being raised, so now in Extreme it's 18,000 points and in Legend is 15,000 points. Again, I'm not rushing ABX. I just want the rewards, and I said I don't really care about the points being raised without there being rewards associated to the points being raised. Otherwise, it's just like you're just biting in for whales to basically whale out harder because they want to be able to tell their friend, well, I hit 10,000 points and you hit 15,000 points, but do I have a reason to hit 15,000 points? Probably not, right? So it's just a race. So outside of that, what we got inside the game as well is the addition of a new world boss, right? So World Boss King is now in the game, right? And I'm really excited about this because that means that we have the potentiality for down the road to have King the Conqueror basically join the game. He comes in with the CTP of Greed. I'm not really like, I've never really been a fan of the CTP of Greed, and I'm still really unsure how it works, to be honest with you. I don't have it on a lot of my characters. It could be highly usable, but I don't really use it on any of my characters. But in order to get to King and to unlock him, you have some requirements that you have to meet. And 5 of those requires that you clear the Dark Phoenix stage, Gore, and Infinity Ultron. Now, I hate playing Gene Dark Phoenix Gray, so I'm doing that one today to unlock him. I'm looking forward to unlocking him, but hey, it is. So what it represents, though, is just another world boss, right? And this time it's a world boss legend. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 world boss legends now. Will we get new ones added in the future is the question, right? So, and I'll go back to this because this goes into whether or not you purchase uniforms for your tunes that you collect and that you like and love, right? I don't have the reason to have more than one Mail Speed T3. Because that's it. Unless I decide that for some reason I want to push higher levels for King or for any of the bosses, then I have the reason to diversify my roster because, hey, now you might want me to have a speed. But like I said, when you go up in higher stages, right, you can stop at stage 2. And stage 2 is going to accommodate you by getting everything that you need, right? Like, truthfully, every day, stage 2, the rewards that you get down here for the main daily rewards, they're no better whether you're on stage 1 or whether you're on stage 100. I've always argued this, right? I've always argued this, that like you pushing beyond stage 2, like that's basically because you want these rewards. And some people will argue for you that pushing past these levels, well, yeah, you're just missing out on rewards. But like, how often have you seen those players getting these fucking rewards. Like it's not a matter of these rewards, right? Because these rewards are whatever. They're shit rewards. The amount of time that you would spend trying to push those higher stages, you could potentially use just doing some shit in your own personal life. Like, go the fuck away from the game. I play this game and I record videos while I'm playing the game, basically to pull you. But what you're really wanting to get out of those boxes is these CTPs and these comment cards, right? Well, if I was a fucking playing player, or I was like a dolphin like I am, do I really care? I might just say, fuck it, I'm gonna roll it. It's quicker. But you do have the chances of getting those and getting some of the Odin's blessings and rewards as you push in higher levels. Now, I am excited for the King boss because I do like when we get these new additional challenges and stuff like that by World Boss Legends, because especially they've been increasing in level. Like when we started out with Mephisto and Null as world bosses, wasn't necessarily so difficult. Infinity Ultron's not so difficult either once you play them and you understand the mechanics. Not so difficult as much anymore. Gora is more like a stopgap, and Gene, we saw amplification in terms of like, hey, be aware of what the hell you're doing to play these, especially if you're going to push for higher levels. Now we start to look at content that may need T4s. But like, it was the weird part because like Miles Morales in his anniversary uniform was capable of completing very, very high stages without a tier 4. There's no World Boss Legend stages unless you're really pushing to high tiers of World Boss Legend that actually really demand that you have tier 4 characters. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. Like, I think I saw Beast Mode Gaming complete like a stage 40 or 50 World Boss Legend with tier 3 level 70 Miles Morales. So like, I agree with him. You know, this character is going to be strong no matter what, and I appreciate that. So like, overall, I think that the update is solid. What I feel that we're still missing out on inside of this update is revamps to game modes. Some of these game modes really need to be considered. The reward system really needs to be revamped. I like the things that they're doing to keep up with the times, but I have to say, like, some of these things need updates. Giant Boss Raid needs update. I would have rather seen a new Giant Boss Raid than seen a addition of a World Boss Legend. That's the truth of the matter. I would rather see boss battle stages than to see a new World Boss Legend. I would rather see updates to timeline survival. I would rather see updates to Dimension Rift. I would rather see updates to Shadowland. I would rather see updates to those things, increase the number of counts that I can basically do inside World Boss, especially with so many, like, having more World Boss clears gives me more rewards by default, and that's what I want. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So far, I'm enjoying the update. Until next time, peace.